Hello ESSers. Today we're going to present to you about the topic 3.2, which is resources, focusing on natural capital, which is part of the topic 3 of the IB ESS program, which talks about human population, carrying capacity, and resources. Enjoy the video.
According to the Sustainable Scale Project, natural capital refers to the source or supply of resources and services that are derived from nature. Forests, mineral deposits, fisheries, and fertile soils are some examples of natural capital. Air and water purification are just two of many services, as you can see. This diagram illustrates the zero waste concept. The zero waste concept includes the concept of producing less waste, known in the industrial sector as cleaner production. As such, the zero waste concept is not new. At the municipality level, the zero waste concept is a catchy message used to improve recycling, composting, and other means to utilize waste at the expense of landfill and mass incineration. In practice, the zero waste goal is avoiding the landfill of waste. This diagram illustrates the ultimate goal of the zero waste concept. Society's consumption and production of goods as a closed loop generates only biodegradable waste.
Natural income refers to the annual yield from sources of natural capital such as timber, ores, fish, and plants.
Renewable natural capital or resources are known to be living resources that can replace or restock themselves and that can grow. Timber is an example. It can be harvested and more trees can be planted to be harvested in the future, as long as the environment is managed in a sustainable way.
Replenishable natural capital or resources are arguably an intermediate between renewable and non-renewable resources. An example is groundwater. It can be used as a resource and depleted as it's used. Non-renewable natural capital or resources exist in infinite amount on Earth and are not renewed or replaced after they have been used or depleted. Examples may include fossil fuels and minerals. As they are used, natural capital is depleted. Resource importance changes over time due to availability. This is why we need to take in consideration the importance of each resource from a range of different perspectives. It can be valued through an economic perspective due to the demand of food, resources, and services. Besides the economic perspective, there's also some others. Nina, what was another one?
The ecological perspective, where we need to maintain life-supported services. This often has very high prices.
Besides the ecological perspective, there's also the scientific and technological perspectives. Like new GMOs have been created, and it's also important due to the medical benefits many resources may give us. For example, medicinal plants.
Finally, in an ethical intrinsic perspective, we value due to different cultural, philosophical, and spiritual beliefs. For example, cows are extremely valued in India, while in many other countries they are raised to become food.
Yum yum yum, here in America we eat meat and it's delicious. Everyone loves it. What? Here in India we don't eat meat. This is the sacred cow. They are sacred because our religion believes that they are animals that should not be eaten.
The United Nations Environment Program, also known as the UNEP, is an agency of the United Nations that coordinates its environmental activities, assisting developing countries in implementing environmentally sound policies and practices. The System of Environmental Economic Accounting, also known as the CEFA, contains an international agreed standard concepts, definitions, classifications, accounting rules, and tables for producing internationally comparable statistics on the environment and its relationship with the economy. These programs make it clearer to see the real cost and health of a nation by including the cost of degrading their natural environment and resources within their gross national product or GNP. Sustainable development is defined as a development that covers given needs without challenging the ability of future generations to meet their needs. This happens without any harm to the environment. In consequence, development has to be sustainable in a way that a nation increases its aggregate demand, or in other words, achieve economic growth. Therefore, the world and many nations need to be synchronized in order to protect future generations. In conclusion, we need to sustain ourselves by taking in consideration that the environment is the most important aspect on Earth. After the environment comes society, and lastly, our economic needs. This obviously comes from an ecocentric perspective. Back to the whole idea that the environment is the most important aspect from these three. We are only successful if we are able to make enough profit to cover costs. Therefore, we are supposed to only use natural income, which relates back to sustainability as explained before.
In the diagram, in order to be sustainable, we need to combine social, environmental, and economic factors equally. If not, we might be bearable, equitable, or viable, but not fully sustainable.
In this subtopic 3.2.7, in this unit, we talk about sustainable yield. Sustainable yield is defined as the rate of increase in natural capital. It's when resources to be exploited without depleting the original stock. Sustainable yield can be calculated by the following formula. The first part is total biomass over energy at given time t plus 1 minus total biomass over energy at time given t. Also, sustainable yield can be calculated by the annual growth minus the annual death and immigration. Here we see three types of ways that we can calculate sustainable yield: in wildlife, in forestry, and in fisheries. In wildlife, sustainable yield is equal to harvestable surplus. In forestry, sustainable yield is equal to total allowable cut. And in fisheries, sustainable yield is equal to total allowable catch.
As an example, we can see that its economy is growing over past years. Nevertheless, we can see that the environment is being degraded by taking as an example Tambopata, Madre de Dios, and Loreto. Therefore, we can apply this to the society, that we are not helping each other by showing how we're extracting minerals and showing
How we always need to think about the economy, the society, and the environment as a whole and not separately, so they can be sustainable. Thank you for your attention.